Okay, so here's the car, couple of days of ownership, and yeah, literally 2 battery charges, and I managed to crash it into something in the garden and broke this swing arm. You can see there. So I've araldite it. Well, I've ordered a new one, but until that arrives, I've araldited it, and should be okay for a little while, just for messing around in the garden. But that said, so I'm thinking of making a bumper for it. Just again, actually, I've ordered a bumper, but it's obviously not going to be here yet. So I thought I'd just try making a bumper with what I had available. So my intention is to take this bit out and then put something in its place. So I've had a look in my metal drawer and just found some offcuts. So we've got a couple of offcuts of aluminium there. So I think the intention is pull this out and kind of put some aluminium in the same slot, a couple of holes in it, and then have something on the front that, yeah, something I guess slightly not too rigid, but yeah, something just to protect the front basically from my terrible driving. So, yep, I'll update when we've got something. Okay, that's the bumper out there, and I think I'm going to use this piece of aluminium to make a little bracket because it's roughly the right thickness. So yeah, it'll be the easiest one to use. So the plan is to make like a tab on the back, the same size as this, with a couple of holes, so that that goes in, and then have something bolted to the front. So that's now cut. I went for 6 centimeters. Seemed about right. Let's see. Done a bit more measuring. The tab on here is 18mm wide and 10mm deep. So I've measured off the centre, well 9mm either side, so it's giving me an 18mm there, and then 10mm back. So going to cut out the hatched bit on each side and yeah, see if it fits. That's now cut. It was initially slightly oversized, so I just got the file out and filed it down a little bit. So, and then fits in, there we go, fits in okay now. So I'm going to faff around, make it look a bit neater, maybe give it a bit of an angle there or something, but that's the gist of it so far. Trimmed off the edges, didn't really measure it, just made it up, just wanted to lose where that old screw hole was, and yeah, smoothed it out a little bit, used the file and the Dremel. Let's have a look. So that's the following day, found this bit of gutter. I'm thinking, yeah, might use this somehow. So gutter, trimmed a little bit with a hacksaw. Found these spacers as well, just bits of plastic tube that are luckily 2 of them, the right length. So my intention at the moment, put these 2 here like this, and then have the gutter like this. So next step is to trim the gutter into something that resembles a bumper a little bit more than a piece of gutter. So I've masked this up and then just drawn a line 4 centimeters from the bottom, and the intention is to use this blade on the Dremel to cut it. Okay, that's now cut. Went okay, not the straightest cut, but I'll smooth that out in due course. So I realised I hadn't actually drilled any holes yet, so I thought I'd do that. So on this side that goes in the car, I just got that, drew through it, and then neatened it up, centre punched it. So these holes are 2.5mm, so I've got 2.5mm drill bit. On the other side, yeah, just central, somewhere that looked good. I think I'm going to go for 3mm on that side, and when I was looking at what bolts I had, I found these, if I focus, these spacers with captive nuts. I think I'm going to use those instead of these yellow ones. Okay, so now to drill some holes. Okay, so lined up on the pillar drill and ready to go. All 4 holes drilled out to 2.5, so I'm just going to do these ones to 3mm and straighten that up. Holes are drilled out now. I've put put a couple of these spacers with the captive nuts on, and that fitting in like that. It's going to be a bit, it's going to rub on the wheels, so I found this hose which is nice and squishy, so I'm going to make a couple of extra spacers out of that, which will give it a bit of bounce as well. That's the plan. Spacers have been cut, so I need to actually cut the bumper itself. It's currently quite oversized. The width from edge of tyre to tyre is about 20 centimeters, so I'll just go maybe 21, maybe 22, maybe 20. I'll just see what it looks like. That's now all marked up. Decided to go 210mm wide. Drew around a 2p just to get some rounded corners on it. Also marked and punched 2 holes for the mounting when it mounts onto the bracket there. So just need to cut this out now with a Dremel and drill those holes and sand it as well, just smooth the edges, make it look a bit nicer. So that's now cut with the Dremel, which went okay, and then I used the random orbit sander just to round off the edges. Not perfect, but should do. Oh, and holes drilled in the middle as well. So it seems that my maths isn't very good this morning. I measured the middle at 11.5, but the middle should have been 10.5 centimeters. So redraw that, and I'm going to make some new holes now. So new holes drilled, pretty much ready to go now. So we've got a shake-proof washer screw to attach that through to there, and then on this side, maybe a shake-proof on the front. Got this washer here, which will probably go in between those two. Yep. Let's assemble it, take off the masking tape and see what it looks like. So there we go, bumper's assembled now. You can see, got the rubbery bits in there, the bit of pipe, and then the spacers, washers in it, and it's, well, squishes in a little bit. It's relatively flexible, which is what I wanted. Shame about those holes on the front. I'll maybe put a bit of electrical tape, well, take the screws out and then put a bit of red tape or something to put a stripe on it. So let's pop it on the car. So just needs to be screwed onto the car, and then I'll give it a test. So bumper's now on, reasonably well attached. If we have a look underneath, I didn't use the original screws. The original screws I think were self-tappers and go a bit longer and go into the plastic. For this, I just found some little screws that I had. I think they're from an old hard drive or something. I've got a pair there which sadly are mismatched, but basically I've just screwed them in and they've tapped themselves into the aluminium of the bumper supports. So right, there it is. I'm going to go and take it outside in a minute and yeah, see what it's like. Forgot to mention that I put a little red stripe on the front and basically just put some electrical tape on there and then roughly straight, and then yeah, scored it and trimmed it off. Not entirely convinced by red, looks like it should be on the back, but that was the only colour masking tape, only colour electrical tape I could find. So I'm just going to show how it clearance at the front, so we can see, yeah, nice lot of clearance at the front, and it is kind of springy, which is what I wanted. So hopefully just what I need. Fresh from the garden, here's the car, bumper still attached. Quite pleased with the end result, considering I just knocked it up with a few bits and pieces I had lying around. I did notice that we've lost a screw, so I need to pop another one in there. In hindsight, I think I probably should have drilled out that bracket, those 2 holes to 2mm, and then actually thought about what size screws I was going to put in there and tap it out a bit better. So that's probably going to be a weak point. So yeah, I may remake that at some point, but for the time being, I'm just going to play with it.